Hey guys, I'm here at the beach. I'm hoping to do some treasure hunting today. Maybe pull out the metal detector, my fishing magnet, and just look for some fishing sinkers and some other cool stuff, so stick around. All right, before I jump in, I wanted to show you a bit of the gear that I'm gonna be using today. I've got my metal detector here with me. I've also got a brand new 650-pound fishing magnet. Here it is right here with the big warning sign on it for the mailman, I guess. Wow, it's heavy. It's probably 2 or 3 pounds on its own. And I don't know if you can see it there, but well, I guess I shouldn't get it too close to the camera. This thing is heavy duty. I'm hoping just dragging it through the sand, it maybe find some really cool stuff. I do find that I see people on the beaches around here metal detecting, but I don't see them in the water metal detecting. So even if the beaches have been, all the good stuff's been found, I'm hoping maybe I find some great stuff out in the water here. So some other stuff I've got here today is my weight belt that you usually see me use when I'm spearfishing. I've added on a cool new bag to it. So this mesh bag is meant for metal detecting. It's got 2 compartments, one for more precious stuff. So if it's smaller, like a ring or something, you can put it in here, and then a big compartment for the stuff that isn't gonna just float out of the bag on its own as easily. Also, I'm gonna suit up right now and get ready to go out there. One last thing too is I've got my mini spear gun here. This is like my tiny little guy. I'm gonna bring it out just in case. There are signs up and down this beach that say that sharks have been sighted. So we'll see if I see any. Actually, I'm hoping to see a shark so I can share it with you. But if I do or don't, I'll have my spear gun with me just in case. So here we go, let's suit up.
I can feel my body cold against the concrete, but I can't seem to get enough. My mind is fixed on what it wants. I just let you beat me. Looks can be deceiving. Let you get the best of me. In bed with my worst enemy. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone. Pack up and get me home. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone. Pack up and get me home. So put your hand in mine. Follow me. Let me waste your time. Set up feet. Do some stupid. Take a seat. Let me waste your time. So put your
This is by far one of my favorite reefs for spearfishing or metal detecting. You can see it's just so expansive. And one of my favorite parts about it is that it's quite shallow. So I can go around and metal detect, 2 or 3 feet under the water for pretty far out without having to, put on scuba tanks or something like that to stay underwater. This here was one of my first finds. Pretty cool to find this because not only was I finding a small piece of metal or something cool, it was also something that actually cleans up the reef. How do you like this find? A full lure. It's got a 3-way swivel. Looks like a 1 ounce, maybe even a 1/2 ounce lead. And a hook that cleaned up and sharpened might work again, but I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, good find, cleaning up the reef. There are so many turtles in Maui, guys. If you ever have the chance to dive here, you'll see them all over the place. These right here are brittle sea stars. One of my next finds was this fishing lead or egg lead that you probably know of. I can actually use these fishing lead, even though some of them look kind of rusty or have some stuff growing on them. I can put them in a bucket and soak them in vinegar or vinegar and salt if you really want to get aggressive. And literally 12 hours later, I can just brush the rust right off of that lead. And it's basically as good as new often. When I started metal detecting, I'd bring out with me like a scoop, a sand scoop, to actually scoop the sand and then sift through the actual materials. But I quickly realized when I'm metal detecting over the reef like this, it's way more effective for me to just use my hand and just sort of blow away the sand or dust or whatever sort of on top of the stuff. And after 2 or 3 attempts, usually I can see whatever it is I'm looking for. This one right here, I didn't even metal detect. I was just kind of scanning the bottom. And while you're metal detecting, your eyes are totally focused on the smallest things. Like you notice little rocks or little shells. And this one right here is a bank lead for fishing. This is the most common lead that I use, so this is really useful for me. Here's another bank lead. There's so much fishing lead it turned out here. I was surprised. I have a PI metal detector, which means pulse induction. If you're ever gonna go in salt water, that's probably the type of metal detector you'd want to use, is a PI or pulse induction. The other main type of metal detector, which is really good on land, is a very low frequency, which is VLF metal detector. This right here was just a glass bottle. It may not have been totally clear what that was. As the day went on, my hopes of actually seeing a shark, like the shark signs that I saw when I was getting in the water, sort of dwindled. You know, typically I'd see a reef shark out here or two, like a black tip or a white tip reef shark, but I didn't get to see any today. Man, there are so many fishing leads out here. There is a 4-ounce lead. I typically use 3, 4, and 5 when I shore fish, depending on which rod I'm using and stuff. So these are perfect. Yeah. Some people ask me what's over there on the left on top of the reef. It was actually a plastic fork that I found. So even, you know, while you're looking for metal, you come across other stuff like plastic that you just happen to be able to carry out of the reef. This one here is a pyramid lead. Hopefully I can use that. It didn't have the little thing on the top of it to attach it to my line. With the fishing magnet, I really couldn't find a good way to use it underwater when I was actually swimming underwater with it. And I tested it a lot more than I show on the video. Like I tested that for a while and I just couldn't really get a hang of it. It was picking up something in the sand. Like I don't think this was gold flakes though. I think this is like iron or some sort of element that it's finding in the sand, but definitely nothing super valuable. Well guys, the waves have picked up, so I think I'm going to call it and finish up metal detecting here. This was really nice and flat when I came out here, but with these waves it's not as fun. I decided to zip down to another beach here. It's a much more public beach, and that last beach I was finding lots of cool stuff like tons of fishing lead, but no real treasure. So let's go check it out. This right here is a cowrie shell, and normally a cowrie shell has a snail inside it. This was a pretty big one, and it looks like it was pretty old, like it had lost a lot of its color and sheen. So the animal or the little snail that was inside had been gone for a while. This right here is another cowrie shell. It's a different type, I think. It's pretty small. And it was like totally cut in half almost. Like there was no backing to the shell. And you see that commonly, like they'll wash up on the beach that way. And then the second one I found actually was a full cowrie shell. It had like the back on it and everything. And I'm pretty sure the third shell here, this was like the find of the day, to find 3 shells in a row like this. I could only keep 2 of them, but you know, the one cowrie shell that I found there, the small one, it actually had a little snail inside, I could tell, so I let that one go back. That third shell you saw me find was actually a frog shell. I'm pretty sure it's a frog shell. If you guys know of it as being something else, let me know, but I've only seen a couple ever. Now right here, I thought I found another shell, but it ended up being a rock. But it totally led me to right in front of me, I found a cone shell. And this cone shell was pretty old, but the cool thing about cone shells is some of them, believe it or not, can go and eat a cowrie shell. So like when there's actually a snail inside this little shell, the cone shell snail will actually go and eat the cowrie shell snail. So I guess it sort of makes sense that I found both types of shells in the same area if one eats the other. This is another cowrie shell. There were so many, guys. I've never been to a beach where I found this many cowrie shells. Like I was blown away. I was looking for metal and other stuff and I just kept seeing shell after shell after shell, and it was really cool. I don't know what kind of shell this was. It was almost like it looked like a peanut or something. I'll have to look that up, but if you guys know, please put it in the comments below. This right here is a sea cucumber. I see a lot of these when I'm diving. A lot of people don't even notice them. They think they're like a piece of coral or something. A sea cucumber is not a vegetable. Even though it's called a sea cucumber, they're like a scavenger that eats plankton and algae and whatever else they can sort of find on the ocean floor. I saw an octopus hiding in this little puka, in this little hole here. So I grabbed a stick that was floating near the edge of the reef and just put it up against the hole. I don't actually poke the octopus. You just want to put it near the octopus and he'll naturally come out of the hole and kind of grab on to whatever you put there. In Hawaii, the common name for octopus is tako, which is actually the Japanese word for octopus. The Hawaiian word for octopus, which is by far not as common to hear people call it, is he'e. I'm pretty sure tako is like the only animal that has 3 hearts and has blue blood. So right here, I was actually diving past this cave looking for treasure inside it, and sure enough, I found a fish, and I saw him at the very back of the cave. So I pulled out my mini spear gun there and was able to get him and take him home for dinner. This type of fish is a surgeon fish, and specifically it's called a polani. The polanis have a lot of meat on them. As you can see, they're a pretty good sized fish, and they're also good tasting surgeon fish.
So I just got back in. I had my shark protection mini spear gun with me. This thing is not very powerful, but I was lucky enough to see this polani in a cave, and he went way to the back of the cave. I was still able to get him. They're really good tasting fish. White meat, super neutral taste. So just a bonus to the treasure hunting game.
All right guys, had a great day treasure hunting today. That first beach, man, I think I was gonna find like unlimited fishing lead. There were so many weights there, and these are the perfect weights that I actually use fishing. So this is the 3, 4, 5 ounce lead. The other thing I found when I switched beaches is I started finding tons of these cowrie shells, and about half of them didn't have like snails or creatures inside them. So that was like a bonus. I threw back all the ones that had something inside, as well as tons of bottle caps and other trash that I took out of the ocean. The one thing I was surprised with was the magnet. The magnet didn't work near as well as I thought it would. I think it might work really well if I like go to the edge of like a boat pier and like chuck it in the water and like drag it through the mud or the sand. I think I might find more stuff like that, but just didn't work out as well in the sand, and obviously I couldn't pull it through the coral. So anyways, all in all, a fun day. If you like what you saw, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and hope to see you on the next one. All right, guys, so this is the AwesomeBlue official keychain. If you want one of these cool keychains, place a comment below and you will win if you are one of the first 20 people to comment on this video.
If you like watching AwesomeBlue, hit subscribe and thumbs up too. Exploring the ocean, swimming with sharks, shooting big fish, hit it right on the mark. Share our channel with your friends, watch every video till the end. Our passion, spending time, finding different ways just to blow your mind. Are you ready? Let's go. Watch a video, best place you know on this AwesomeBlue.